Pictomancer has absolutely shattered my expectations. I'm so pleasantly surprised by it. Let's talk about it. Hello everybody, I am Jmulls of Jmulls Gaming and Dawntrail is upon us. We've covered Viper, now we're on to our starving artist job, Pictomancer. It's the newest magical ranged DPS job in the game, and honestly, may now even be my favorite. I heard so much that it was slow, and just looking at the aesthetic, it didn't particularly appeal to me like Viper did. However, immediately getting my hands on it when I picked the job up earlier today, I was enthralled by it from the very beginning. You see, there's a certain flow and just pace to Pictomancer that I find really fun and enticing. And it all comes down to the class fantasy, or the job fantasy, if you want to call it that. You feel like a Pictomancer. You feel as if you are painting these things to life and bringing them into the battlefield to either buff your allies or damage your enemies. And there's so many little aspects to this job and its overall design where you may go, I wonder why they did this, makes it a bit slow, and then you start to play the thing. And bear in mind, I'm only level 81. I didn't even get that far into Pictomancer, and it's like the scales fell from my eyes. I'm like, oh, it makes sense why you would do this and this and this, because it does this and this and this. The more and more I played Pictomancer, the quicker that it all just kind of clicked. Pictomancer is what I like to call now a setup job. There's a lot of setup to this, especially to its main gimmick, painting. You have 3 canvases, a creature one, a weapon, and a landscape. They do various things. The landscape generally is the one I have, which is Starry Night, that buffs allies. The hammer one is funny because you just summon a giant bonk hammer and slam it down on anything. And it's funny because you can be like a mile away from the enemy and you can still hit him. The range is comical. And the other one is you just summon a giant, Moogle to shoot a laser beam. It's awesome. It's a bit of a simplification, but that's generally what's going on here. You are painting these things, bringing them into life, and then utilizing them for their effect. It's a 3-step process for the most part, and while that may sound really tedious, what it lets you do is plan. And this really dawned on me when I did the Alliance raid, likely in the background of this video. You know how in a lot of boss fights, how there's various seconds here and there where you're not actually damaging the boss, like the boss may be doing a bit of RP, he may be teleporting somewhere. In essence, you kind of have a second or two of downtime. Well, what you can do is paint your paintings, which has the longer cast time. For me, it's 1.5 seconds. And then when the boss is available to be attacked again, you can then utilize those paintings for their effects. Because the part of this process that has the cooldown is actually rendering the paintings you have, not painting itself. And I find this to be rather, intriguing, because it allows you to set up these paintings for down the line for when your cooldowns come back online for you to then utilize them. Just so long as you have your paintings up and available, by the time your cooldowns are up, you're good to go. You can paint them whenever you want in that time. And if you happen to plan this around, boss maybe doing a mechanic, your swift cast, or whatever, you can really take advantage of this. And there's moments of beauty in the Pictomancer, to where you'll have these moments where you kind of need to be rooted in place to do these paintings, to actually paint them onto your canvas. But then, quite a bit of your kit, especially things like hammer or utilizing your Holy in White, which is an instacast, you can chain those for quite a long time, which gives you a nice window of movement. Especially since you can stack Holy in White up to 5 times, so if you know, hey, I don't really need to move right now, I can stack up and pool my Holy in Whites for a bit, and then, I have this phase where I need to be on the move. I need to get out of here ASAP. You can then spam these things and utilize them, and it's great, because Pictomancer, so far, rewards planning ahead, thinking ahead. It rewards knowing the encounter, and there's a bunch of room to improve. And I really enjoy that about Pictomancer. And you pair that alongside just how creative the job is on the whole. It's such a visual spectacle as well. Whenever Pictomancer's in the party, or you are playing Pictomancer, you can definitely see it. and in a non-annoying way. Shooting the Moogle beams, all the spell effects look so creative to me, and it's not too many buttons so far because, again, of this new combo system introduced with Dawntrail, where the button essentially changes to the next part of the combo instead of having to, have 1, 2, 3 bound. Now it's just 1, 1, 1. Oh, I can now use Subtractive Palette to get a better combo. Okay, now it's 2, 2, 2. It's great. I really appreciate that. You feel like a caster, but you have these tools in your kit that reward you for planning around the fight, and in essence, rewards your imagination, which is the RP of Pictomancer. I'm not joking when I say I think Pictomancer is the job so far that I've been the most impressed with from all of Final Fantasy XIV when it comes to nailing this idea of being that job, Pictomancer. I thought I was just gonna write it off like, okay, cool, it paints. Sounds cool for other people, not gonna be for me. I want to play this thing. I want to play more of it because it's that fun. I love all the little decisions you can make on a moment-to-moment basis. If you know anything about what I like out of MMO job design, I love it when a job gives me moments where I can make decisions in the short term that may lead to some grander strategy down the line. I love that. That's pretty much what Pictomancer is all about. And it's so good. It's really good. Sure, you can argue it's a bit slow, but honestly, to me, I don't feel that it's all that slow. I really don't. Now, granted, I don't play magical ranged all the time. I mainly play Reaper and Dragoon and now Viper, but I have Black Mage, Summon, and Red Mage all level 90. It doesn't feel that much slower compared to those. Pictomancer is also a job of like peaks and valleys in terms of its pacing. Basically what goes on is you have these periods where you feel as if you're rooted in place because you have to paint, or you may want to get a cheeky paint in to prep for down the line, or you're just casting your Fire and Red or Blizzard and Cyan combos, whatnot. Those are your long casts, and you can feel the job kind of slow down in those phases. But then you have moments where your paintings come online and you start to render them and utilize them, and the job's overall speed really picks up. It slows down right after that, but that's kind of what this job is all about. Varying paces. It goes fast 1 second, slow the next. Maybe that could be off-putting to some people, but honestly, I like that variance. I like planning around for my movement. I like pooling resources, saying, oh, I can maybe pool up a couple Holy and Whites right here, because I know a big mechanic phase is about to happen that requires me to move around a lot. I can plan for that. I can plan accordingly. Oh, I'm fighting a boss where it's trying to telegraph mechanics, but I can't really attack it. Remember in the Puppet's Bunker raid, when you're fighting the 3 flight units, and they all go to that one corner to AoE half the room, and you're just kind of standing there finding the pattern? Do your paintings then! You're doing nothing else, you might as well do your paintings then. And if you're in a dungeon, or even in a raid, before a boss or a pack of mobs, you can do your paintings then, because out of combat, they're instant cast. Just a bunch of little decisions that may be like, huh, I wonder why they did this, and then the more you play of this job, it's like, oh, it makes sense. The pieces of the puzzle are falling into place. And I'm just looking ahead to the future abilities I get with this thing, and I'm like, oh, we're gonna gain even more stuff on top of this. That sounds really intriguing, compelling, and fun. Because bear in mind, I have all of these opinions about Pictomancer at level 80 goddamn 1. It's by no means the full thing, but I already really enjoy it, borderline more than most other jobs in this game. So to say that I'm pleasantly surprised with Pictomancer would be an understatement. I've been having so much fun with this thing, I kind of just want to level this thing up after Viper. Cause you feel good when you get better at Pictomancer. And when your strategy for pooling resources, again, this is like simple stuff, but again, small decisions on a moment-to-moment basis that add up to a grander strategy feels rewarding to me. And when you pull it off, and you pull it off well, you feel good about it. At least I do. And I shouted this out in the Viper video from yesterday, and I want to talk about it again today. The tutorial in the level 80 quest is some of the best tutorial work they've done in all of Final Fantasy XIV. It teaches you the extreme basics of the job, but it's highly effective in my opinion. It's short, sweet, and to the point, but it tells you the bare bones basics of how to perform with this job and how the job is supposed to flow. Not just press 1 to do damage. No, it's like, okay, you're gonna learn how to paint. Do each of your painting combos. You see how they're useful? Do you see how they're effective? Do you see how this one can buff your allies? Do your Fire and Red combo. Do you see how you're a caster? Okay, now use Subtractive Palette. Use Blizzard and and Cyan combo. Do you see how it does more damage? Granted, the cast time on the Blizzard and Cyan one is pretty long, but the job is just a ton of fun. And it clicked for me from the moment I went to a training dummy just to test things out. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. This, for some reason, feels really good in my brain. It's a visual spectacle that's fun to look at, has been really fun to play, and feels rewarding for getting right. And like, sometimes it's the little things. I love how the hammer just bonks things, like the Looney Tunes sketch or something. It's great. I love the new combo system where the buttons change to the next button. Like, you can argue that maybe the paint should do that as well. I don't particularly mind it. I think one of the common things I heard just from watching people from the media tour was that the painting bit could be a bit confusing for some people. And they're like, why can't we consolidate these buttons down to like one button for all the hammer stuff, one button for all the Starry Sky stuff, and another one for like the palm. I have a 12 button mouse where I have like 12 buttons on the side of my mouse. If you see from my hotbar, I just do like one category of painting, from painting, rendering, and then applying it as like columns of buttons on my mouse. So it really fits for me. Like, you can make it work on a keyboard. I heard like Preach do it where it's like 1, Shift 1, Alt 1 or something like that. And yeah, like that could work. So for me, it's 4, 7, and 10 because that's the column on my mouse. For the hammer, it's 5, 8, and then 11 on my mouse, but it's like the minus sign in-game for the keybind. If you run like a Razer Naga, you know what I'm talking about. So to me, with this setup, the job just immediately clicked. It doesn't feel like it has a bunch of button bloat, but the buttons feel good. And I love the movement on Pictomancer. Like, yeah, it's just a dash 15, like, yards forward with smudge, but, like, you're riding paint, almost like you're skateboarding on it. It's nice. It's a little bit of charm and character and personality that is added to Pictomancer. And I can't overstate just how much of a surprise Pictomancer has been for me. This ordinarily isn't my aesthetic. This isn't what I go for when it comes from job fantasy. But with Pictomancer, it's just fun and lighthearted, and I want to play it more. And for my early impressions at only level 81 again, I can't ask for more. I think it's one of the most well-designed jobs I've ever seen them put out. Granted, I started in Stormblood. So yeah, I'm a Pictomancer believer. I'll be leveling this after the MSQ after I do Viper. Though I may need to do Black Mage and Dragoon first because of my retainers. That may be a thing, but we'll see. So, thank you all for tuning in. My pleasure for making the video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out and helps support future content, and I greatly appreciate it. Let me know in the comments down below what job you are playing when it comes to Dawntrail. One of the older ones? Are you rocking some Viper? Are you rocking some Pictomancer? Let me know how you feel about it. I'd love to hear your thoughts, hear your opinions, and to hear your perspectives. Stay safe. Have a great day. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye, everybody. Until we meet again!